During this COVID-19 lockdown, I've been trying to make good use of my time. Been working on the ever-evolving camping cargo trailer. This is my little trailer. It's made out of a Ski-Doo trailer. Bought it salvaged and fixed it up and built it up. This hauls all of our camping gear at this point. Every bit of it goes on here. Total weights on it is about 355 pounds per each wheel in the back, and about 103 pounds on the tongue, for a total of about 814 pounds dry. Of course, you'd add on a little bit more because we actually keep our cooler. You can see that red cooler, igloo cooler right there on the front. We keep that full of ice and stuff when we're going. And behind that, I have what I call my dry food storage box. So this container here, I put all the dry food, basically all of our non-refrigerated stuff in it. Up on top, I've got a spot to haul our new, never used yet, 20 by 10 instant tent. I bought that right as the COVID lockdown started, got it waterproofed, and then we had the lockdown. Again, we're hoping to be able to go camping this fall. I'm really a fall and spring camper. I like it when it's good and cool and enjoyable. So we're just trying to get everything taken care of while we're in the lockdown. Here at the back, we take everything with us. Here at the back, that's a folding table. That's a 2 foot by 4, no, that's a 2 foot, I think, by 6 foot table that we take camping with us. So that's extra table we got. Down there in the center of the frame is the end of our pop-up. That's a 13 by 13 Coleman pop-up. Makes it really enjoyable for just sitting around the campground in the shade, and if it comes a rain, you're in the dry. We actually keep us a storage bin down there for fire making materials, a little bit of kindling and miscellaneous stuff. Got our bow saw and hacksaw for cutting dead tree limbs and gathering firewood if we need to at the campground. Up on the front, you can see the bicycle. We always take us a bicycle with us. There's usually 4 to 5 of us camping anytime, and the bicycle makes it handy to make a run to the restroom in the campground. Just gives you a little something to do. Bicycle, by the way, locks solid when you're traveling with this. This is a homemade mount that I made for it, and it holds up on the bar, and it's got 2 Velcro straps, one to hold it downward and one to hold it frontward. And then if you turn around, the front wheel is actually strapped on the other side of the trailer tongue there, which comes in really handy. Of course, back here behind the wheel of the bicycle, it's hard to see it, but that blue container is our 5-gallon water jug, and so we fill that up when we get to the campground. And I use a layering setup here. So basically these panels like this one here, that is between the lower level down there and that level right there, that panel helps distribute the load. It's got little legs that come off of it and go all the way down to the bed. That one does. So it helps distribute that load of the cooler and the dry goods box and the tent up on top to make it ride better and smoother and safer. And of course, you can see these little blocks here that I've got. These are fastened to this sheet so that this container can't go forward, backwards, or side to side without moving this entire platform. Same thing goes for the cooler. You can see I've got blocking there, and at the front of it, I'll go around and you can see how I've done that. Here's a better angle of it, actually. You can see the front blocking and the side blocking. Again, this cooler can't go anywhere. You could probably fill that cooler up with drinks and ice and not even tie it down, and it wouldn't go anywhere. Same thing for the dry food. It's locked in there so precisely that it probably wouldn't even have to be tied down, although I wouldn't recommend anyone do that. Made a platform similar for the big tent up on top. Of course, this platform here locks in around, it's keyed into and fits right around that dry food storage box, and it kind of locks around the edges of the cooler. And up here on the front, I've got a support rod that actually goes from here down to the front of the trailer that just kind of helps hold the front end and keep some of that weight off the cooler and the dry goods box there. Added a little string here on my front of this here so that bar that comes there, if we were to hit a big bump, and if for whatever ungodly reason things were loose, if this bounces up, that piece of conduit will not flip out and go down the highway. Of course, got our spare mounted on the side here. And this is the main box on the back I'm about to show you, and as I'm doing this, you'll probably start noticing more and more that camo paint job that I put on it this spring during the lockdown. My first ever attempt at doing camo, and I think it came out really, really good. I'm very, very happy with this. This back box that we're looking at here is actually a box that I made to go on the cargo rack, a steel cargo rack on the tailgate of my car. And as we progressed and added more and more items to our camping arsenal, it got to be too much to haul on the back of the car. So I've put it on the back of this little Ski-Doo trailer. Got actually 2 sets of turn lights on it. I just kept the ones I had on it before, and again put this good camo paint job on it. That was a combination of using actual living plant and doing some 3D printing of stencils. But I am very, very, very happy with how the camo paint job came out. Of course, inside of this box here is where we haul all the stuff. It really has to stay really dry. That's where all of our bedding, quilts, and miscellaneous small items are at. So in there, I've got several air mattresses. The bedding I actually have started using just because I'm not getting any younger. This is a Teton XXL cot, and so I carry that with me. And now that we have this, which sets up 19 inches off the ground by itself, and the tent, which has over 6 foot headroom in it, this will feel more like sleeping in the bed at home. So anyway, that's my Teton. On top here, we actually have 4 big, comfortable camp chairs. And this little prop, I usually move it before I take off, but this prop is really meant to kind of allow you to open the door on that storage area and be able to prop it up in case you need something while you're en route to your campground. But that's all came out real good. And here's a little bit more. You can see the deer and stuff on the camo. Again, I am amazed at myself, not bragging, I'm just amazed at myself at how good this camo paint job came out. This was my first time, and I am ecstatic about how well this worked out. If somebody told me you could do that and it would come out that good, I just wouldn't have believed it. And of course, I think I've shown you up here on the front. I've got 2 deer's head at the front of that tent stand there, and even on the lower area where we've got the little igloo, you can see the 2 deer heads showing up there. So it's been kind of a deer and bear theme on the camo. And now I will pause the camera, and I'll fold out the tables I made on the side of here. This is actually, before I do, I'll actually show you what I'm talking about. These are braces. This down here, it's hard to see it in the camo, but this is a wing nut that unspins, and that will let this rod come off here. Then this whole table, which is hinged, you can see it up here, and here, and here, it swings out, holds up at a 45-degree angle, makes it super, super, super handy when you're unloading and setting up camp or breaking down camp, because it's a very firm table, and they work really good, one on both sides. Now I say they work really good, again, I created all of this during the COVID-19 lockdown, the tables part. And again, the tables, like the box on the back of there, That's all done up in poor man's fiberglass. That was my first experience ever doing poor man's fiberglass, and I gotta say, it's held up really well, and I don't think I'll ever have a single problem with it. If you don't know what poor man's fiberglass is, look it up, but it's basically taking linen or canvas and gluing it over top of the wood and then saturating that canvas with multiple coats of paint. It's there. It's staying there. But anyway, I'll take and pause here and fold these tables out right quick and show you how the tables look when they're all set up. Okay, so we're back, and I have unfolded the little fold-out tables on the end of the cargo camper, or the camper cargo trailer, whatever you want to refer to it. If you'll notice, when I was doing my camo, I even did the areas that are hid when the tables are folded down. So there's multiple deer running through the forest in there. These tables really are nice. You can never have too much table or storage room when you're camping. And they're good and solid. And so they just work real good. And they're properly weatherproof, so they'll be there for a long time. Here's the rod I moved from the side of the table. Here's the little wing nut, put it back in there just for storage temporarily, and then up in here they go to another block, and that block is basically kind of 45'd in there. It's kind of hard to explain, but anyway, it works really well. Again, on here, back in under the sides of the table, also did that camo painting. And all in all, I'm really happy with the way this has turned out. Can't wait to go camping this fall. Missed it this spring due to the COVID lockdown. None of our family, thank goodness, has gotten sick with COVID. We've been blessed. None of my immediate family or friends even have gotten COVID. But it's just a blessing. It's out there, and I'm hoping that maybe by the fall we'll have a vaccine or we'll know more about this. If family's safe in the fall, I may still take and go camping. I usually go with the grandkids, and we have a good time. Go for 3 or 4 days of camping. Again, we try to make it as luxurious and comfortable as possible. And really, to be honest with you, I've had lots and lots of thoughts about building a little teardrop camper. But this is so convenient, what I've got here. And I rarely ever camp by myself. My wife is not a camper, and so she's not going to be going camping with me. And I usually have the grandkids go with me. Some of the grandkids go with me, and we go camping, or I meet up with my son. But I just really can't substantiate going through all the work of building a teardrop camper for one person when this is fully prepared and has all of the stuff I need for doing a camping trip with 4 or 5, 6. We've had 6 people camp out with us at one time using this trailer. And again, this trailer is hauling everything. And I didn't mention, but I actually tow this with my Subaru Outback there. And that's another reason for wanting to keep it light and simple. We can all pile in the Subaru. Again, don't have to put anything inside the car. Unless, of course, somebody wants their own particular pillow or blanket or something, and we've got the storage behind the seats to do that. And if I go with my son and we just go camping, I'll usually meet up with him. And what I would do if I was meeting up with him is I would ditch the big tent on top of here. So I would ditch this, leave it in the garage along with that storage area. And then the coolers and the dry goods could still be tied down perfectly fine. And I'd also ditch the big Teton XXL cot and 2 of these chairs. The other 2 chairs I would put into the back of the Subaru and haul them inside. That would make this a little bit lighter and easier to work with. And also, the really nice thing about this whole trailer is it tows wonderfully. It tows wonderfully behind my Subaru Outback. weighing in a total of just a little over 800 pounds, maybe 850 when it's fully loaded. It's not that heavy to pull behind. It's got a long stretch between the tongue and the wheels, so it's easy to back up. It tracks really good behind the Outback, and when fully loaded is less than 6 inches high, and the Outback is actually 66 inches high. And if you take into account about, I don't know, 3 inches for the luggage rack on top, that means that this trailer is riding fully in the slipstream of the Outback. So gas mileage isn't a big deal. It does use more, of course, when you've got it fully loaded with people inside and pulling this, but it's still reasonable, and the performance of the vehicle is still reasonable. But it works out very well, and just totally happy with it. That was another thing I was going to say too. All of these cases here, the Teton cot and all the camping chairs, and the case that actually holds the big tent, were treated with ATSCO waterproofing. So really haven't ever had to test that as far as hauling them in the rain and then seeing how dry they stayed. But even if they got a little bit of water, it wouldn't take long to have them set up at the campground underneath the big Coleman pop-up down here. Have them set up there. Oh, and by the way, that Coleman pop-up bag is also treated with ATSCO waterproofing, which I really love. But anyway, that's a good review of it. Here's my little 3D printed. You can't hardly see this stuff when it's painted. That's my little 3D printed and designed LED tag light that I put on here. Lots of things on here I did with 3D printing of those wing nuts that I use there. That's a 3D print that I use. The ends of the conduits, those are 3D printed plugs I put into there. This plate right here that's at the joint of the two sides where this conduit comes down, that's 3D printed. And this little piece here that keeps that conduit centered on the front of the camper, that's 3D printed. There's lots of stuff. I ain't gonna point out all of that, but needless to say, I like 3D printing. And one other minor thing to kind of show you about this setup that we've got is when we're not camping, I keep the camper fully loaded with everything in it. Of course, we let the tents dry out. We get them dried good before we put everything up. But the bottom line is I bring the trailer in and push it as far over to one side as I can in my garage. We've got an old garage here. But anyway, when I push it over as far as I can, the way I've got everything stored in the garage, it still leaves a good spot for my wife to pull her van in. So that's not a problem storing it in there. And again, we keep everything loaded up on it. So whenever you're ready to go camping, except for your cooler and your dry goods, you're pretty well ready to roll. And then, as part of storing it, I've made these wooden sort of jack stands. And these wooden jack stands fit under the back of the trailer. And once they're under there, then I use the tongue jack up there to jack it up, and I basically take all the weight off of the axles. I think my axles would be perfectly fine, and the springs would be, to leave it loaded all the time, since it doesn't really weigh that much. But better safe than sorry, as they say. And it certainly doesn't take very long to take the weight off of the wheels. So there's the way it looks when it's cranked up at the front. Got the jack cranked up quite a bit at the front. So looking down it, you can see it barely tilted back. But what it allows for, again, is so that during all of its storage, these wheels down here, which I'll take my foot and spin, they don't have any weight on them on either side. So now all the weight is actually going down to the frame at the tongue and on each side here. So it keeps that weight off of it. But that's the way we store it. And again, it leaves plenty of room to get the van in. We actually take the lawnmower and push up under there. So we take the her old lawnmower, and it can go up under there. And the way we park here is my wife parks all the way back in the end of the garage here. I keep a pile of scrap lumber for projects and stuff. She parks back here, and then she has that whole area to open up the doors of the van. The van doors actually open up right in this big area that we're looking at here. But you still have plenty of room to walk down by the trailer still yet, so. But anyway, that's the way we camp, as they say. That's the way we roll, and hopefully in the fall of the year we'll get to get out and enjoy all the fruits of our labor during the lockdown. Hope you all have a great day.